Krishna. Dear Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Mataji, Dandat Pranam, Shashta Prabhupada.
Mataji, today I'm not feeling well. That's why I'm like I'm a little bit taking rest and listening, not taking notes. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for being there.
All glories to you, Mataji.
All glories to you. We'll get started with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yadkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanyamishwaram नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. We are in chapter number 15, and chapter number 15 is about how the Pandavas retire timely after the departure of Sri Krishna. So, in the beginning of this chapter, we have been seeing how Arjuna is lamenting and he's recounting all his experiences and the time he spent with Sri Krishna. So, that is the background that we are seeing, and we'll have to cover from verse number 16, if I'm not wrong today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. So Arjuna is remembering all the uh, different situations how Krishna came and saved him, especially in this section. And he's about to, he broke the news that very soon this Krishna is not with us anymore. When Yudhishthir Maharaj kept questioning him again and again. So that is the context, and we'll have to do from verse number 15. यो भीष्मकर्णकुरुशल्यचमोष्वभद्र राजन्यवर्यरथमण्डलमण्डितासु अग्रे चरो मम विभोरतयूतपानम् आयुर्मनांसि च दृश सह ओज आर्चत्. Translation, anyone wants to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It was he only who withdrew the duration of life from everyone and who, in the battlefield, withdrew the speculative power and strength of enthusiasm from the great military phalanx made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Shalya, etc. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but he, Lord Sri Krishna, while going forward, did all this. Hare Krishna.
So Arjun is acknowledging all the help that Krishna gave him throughout his life. And here he mentions that it is he only who actually fought the war. He is the source of everything. He is the creator of everything. He is the ability in man. It is all his plan. So Arjun says it is he only who withdrew the life from everyone on the battlefield. And he removed the power, the strength, the enthusiasm of this great military phalanx that was made by the Kauravas. In fact, the arrangement of the Kauravas, the battlefield arrangements, they were very expert and they were more than enough. But Lord Krishna was able to take care of this entire military phalanx, and that is the way that actually Arjuna was victorious or the Pandavas were victorious. So whatever happened as a result of this war, meaning whatever, whether the Pandavas win or the Kauravas win, all that is in Krishna's hand. So Krishna ensured that the Pandavas were victorious and the Kauravas were destroyed. So that is what Arjuna is acknowledging here. And in the purport, Prabhupada tells Krishna is the absolute personality of Godhead. But that same Krishna, who is Bhagavan, he expands himself into plenary portions. As a plenary portion, he sits as the Paramatma in everybody's heart, and he is the one who is directing everybody in all different matters, be it recollection, forgetfulness, intelligence, whatever it may be. I think, did we do verse 15? Just a quick question. Sounds very familiar. No? So verse number, yeah.
Yes, Masaji, we've already completed this and you have to start with 16.
Yeah, it felt very familiar. Okay.
It's okay,
Okay.
Mataji.
And he quotes Bhagavad Gita and he tells how Krishna is actually, as the Paramatma, he's impelling everybody. And by his mercy, we are all able to act. Okay, 16. यद्दोषुमा प्रणिहितं गुरुभीष्मकर्णा न त्रिगतशल्यसैन्धवबालिकादयै अस्त्राणि अमोघमहिमानि निरूपितानि नृहरिदासम् इवासुराम्. Anyone for translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Great
Yes.
generals like Bhishma, Drona, Krishna, Bhurishra, Shusharma, Salya, Jarasandha, and Bahishla all directed their invincible weapons against me, but by his Lord Krishna's grace, they could not even touch a hair on my head. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaja, the supreme devotee of the Lord Narasimha was unaffected by the weapons the demons used against him. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. So when he was talking about the vastness of the army on the side of the Kauravas and the strength of the Kauravas, he continues to say how even great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and all of these who were so powerful and they had all the weapons in their hand, they could not even touch the hair on the head of Arjun. There is actually a pastime connected with this. Karna is mentioned in this verse as well. Karna, it so happens that this hmm, Parikshit was bit by Takshak, right? So this Takshak's son, Ashwasena, if I'm not wrong, after the Kandava Dahana, after the Kandava forest was burned down, Takshak and Ashwasena, they wanted to take revenge on Arjun and his descendants. That is when it is mentioned that I'm not sure if it is Takshak or Ashwasena. One of them, they actually take shelter of Karna's arrow. They go and request Karna that we want to be situated on your arrow and we want to attack Arjun in the battlefield. Because they knew very well that the two bowmen who would be facing each other and who would be Karna and Arjun, because especially Karna was very revengeful. And he wanted to face Arjun in the battle. So this Ashwasena slash, I don't know if it is Ashwasena or different versions have different names. So I'm just saying one of them, or Takshak, one of them, they wanted to take revenge, and hence they got the boon from Karna that they would get situated on the tip of the arrow of Karna. Now, Karna in the battlefield, when he was invoking the Astra, this particular Naga comes into Karna's arrow and he is ready to take revenge. Okay, so once released, this powerful serpent will definitely attack Arjun, and Arjun is sure to die because of the power of the serpent. But what does Krishna do? When the arrow comes close, Krishna presses his foot on the bigger toe on his foot. He presses it down, and the chariot sinks. And the arrow, which was supposed to touch his head and take off his head, just touches the crown, and the crown slips. So that arrow was not even able to touch the hair of Arjun. Huh? Why? How was it possible? It was possible only by Krishna's grace, because Krishna is all knowing. He was right there, he was present there protecting Arjun. And Krishna, with his big toe, he just pressed down the chariot, and the chariot sunk a little, because of which Arjun's head and hair was spared, and the arrow went waste. So, like this, he protects his devotee under all circumstances. And the comparison given by Arjun as he's calling out the name of Prahlad Maharaj, he says, just like how Prahlad Maharaj, who's the supreme devotee of Lord Narsimhadev, was not affected by the weapons the demons used against him, similarly, all these different divine divyastras that was there in the hands of great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, they could not do anything against me. And Prabhupada, in the purport, he talks about the beautiful story of Prahlad Maharaj. How Prahlad Maharaj was a small boy of just 5 years old. But it so happened that he became an object of envy of his own father, Hiranyakashipu, simply because Prahlad became a pure devotee. So sometimes when there are pure devotees, they become an object of envy for demoniac people. So, but here the case is that the own son became an object of envy for the father. So much so that his demoniac father, he started using all sorts of weapons to kill his son. He used so many methodologies. He was trying to throw his son in fire, in boiling oil. He pushed him from a top of hill. He tried to trample him under elephant's leg, and so on. And but during all these circumstances, Narsingadev, he came to protect Prahlad. So basically, the idea is that without the Lord's sanction, nobody can really kill a devotee. Hmm? So if Lord wants, he will protect his devotee. But if Lord thinks that he wants the devotee back with him, he may not protect the devotee's body. Okay. Once I heard my Guru Maharaj say, Krishna always protects. He may or he may not protect your body. That is a different story. But his protection is when he protects your faith and he protects your devotion. That means he has acknowledged that you are his. Okay. So if he's protecting your faith and your devotion, and if he's keeping you, the soul, close to him, that is his true protection. The body is temporary. He may protect to teach the world a lesson, or he may not protect. That is completely up to him, and he takes the decision. At the end of the day, the owner of the sorry if the room is dark. This is the maximum light I could get, and this light went off. Okay. At the end of the day, the owner is responsible for the property he has, right? If all we living entities, we are the property of the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord decides what he wants to do with every living entity. But whatever he does is always for the good of the devotee. So that is what is brought out in this purport. Krishna is always looking out for his devotee. He is always trying to save the devotee. Just like how Prahlad was saved, similarly, Arjun was also saved personally when so many weapons were attacking Arjun. So in this purport itself, since there is a mention of so many different, there is a small introduction about each of them. The first person mentioned is Karna. And Karna, of course, we all know his story, that he was born from Kunti Maharani and the sun god before she was married to Maharaj Pandu. And later the child was abandoned. And when he was born itself, as a gift from the sun god, he was born with Kavacha Kundala, that is earrings and a Kavacham. Here Prabhupada says special bangles. Okay. So these are extraordinary signs from day one that he'll be a great hero. And when initially his name was Vasusena, but when he grew up, he gave away his earrings and his kavacha to Indradeva, and thereafter he came to be known as Vaikarthana. Vaikarthana, that was his name. And when Kunti Maharani abandoned him, she abandoned him in a little basket in the river Ganges. And later, this child was picked up by a charioteer come carpenter. Prabhupada says carpenter here. We also hear that he was a charioteer. So, Adhiratha. Now, this Adhiratha, if you read Bhagavatam, different in the ninth canto itself, towards the last chapter of the ninth canto, when all the dynasties are mentioned, the name of Adhiratha comes. He was born as in a mixed caste of a Kshatriya and a Vaishya or a Shudra, I'm not sure. And later he adapts the profession on his mother's side. So that's why he's called a Suta. But his father or someone is a Kshatriya. So this Adhiratha, he was married to a wonderful lady by the name Radha, and they brought up this Karna as their own offspring. And we all know Karna's story, how he was very charitable, especially towards Brahmanas. If somebody came and asked for something, immediately he would give it away. So this Indra, he came in the guise of a Brahmin and he came and begged for the Kavacha Kundal, so that Indra could be defeated in the war by his son Arjun. By Indra's son Arjun. So when Indra came like this and he begged for it, he willingly gave it away. It was actually stuck to his body, but he willingly gives it away. But he just doesn't stop there. In return, he demands the Shakti weapon. Okay, this Shakti weapon he had specifically kept to kill Arjun. But then again, Krishna, he is very intelligent. When it was time for when Krishna realized that the Shakti weapon has not yet been used, he asks Bhima to summon Ghatotkacha, if I'm not wrong, because ultimately Ghatotkacha was killed by Shakti. So when Ghatotkacha was creating a huge havoc in the battlefield, at that time they didn't have any other choice, and Duryodhana and others they insisted that the Shakti weapon has to be used because that is the only way this Ghatotkacha can be killed. And by the usage of the Shakti weapon, Ghatotkacha was killed, but his initial intention of using Shakti against Arjuna failed. And again, this was also a master plan of Sri Krishna. So we see Krishna's hand in everything. And Duryodhan, he all saw that there was a constant rivalry between, I mean, he could see in one of the matches, it was a display match after the boys finished their education. He saw that Karna would be the perfect person to be a suitable warrior to face Arjun. So he makes friendship with Karna. And Karna, he had this constant rivalry with Arjun. And later, Karna and Duryodhan, they became very, very close friends. And of course, Karna and Duryodhan, all of them, they were present in the assembly of Draupadi's Swayamvar function. And in fact, Karna was a great warrior. When he was ready to take a shot, with his arrow to shoot the eye of the fish, which was the competition that was put in front of the kings. Draupadi immediately spoke up and she said that she cannot marry a person who's not of a pure Kshatriya lineage. And because of that, Karna was very, very insulted. And later, when Arjun took away Draupadi, Arjun was dressed as a Brahmin. You know all these stories. So when he takes away Draupadi, at that time, Karna fought with him very, very valiantly. And Duryodhan was always very pleased with Karna, especially because of his specific rivalry with Arjun. So much so that Duryodhan made him the king of the state of Anga. And later, Prabhupada mentions this Angadesh. It was spreading across different regions, right from Bengal till the southern part of India. He writes in the purport. So this Angadesh became quite big eventually. And then he also there is also a story that is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada that when he enthroned Karna as the king of Anga, being baffled in his attempt to win Draupadi, Karna devised Duryodhan to attack Drupad. After defeating him, both Arjun and Draupadi could be arrested. But Dronacharya, he rebuked them for this conspiracy and they did not carry out that action. So apparently they had plans of attacking Dronacharya. Drupada, but Dronacharya forbade them. And also, this is interesting that in the Mahabharata it is mentioned that Karna was defeated multiple times, not only by Arjun but also by Bhimasen. Actually, Karna is known to be a person who brags a lot, that I will do this, I will do that, nobody can win over me, and so on. Throughout the Mahabharata, this kind of character portrayal is there for Karna, but apparently he's not won much. Most of the wars he has failed, and he was repeatedly defeated by Arjun and Bhima again and again. And Prabhupada says he was the king of Bengal, Odisha, and Madras combined. And later, he took part in the Rajasuya Yajna of Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he participated in the gambling match. And he was actually, especially in India, there is a soft corner for Karna. I don't know how that soft corner eventually blossomed. But actually, according to the Mahabharata, he has no big good qualities. Vyasadeva never wrote that he was a great, very kind, good-hearted person or something like that. Eventually, we have made him an object of our pity. Just because he was Sutaputra, everyone feels pity for him and makes him a hero. But according to the Mahabharata, according to the writings of Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnava acharyas, they have all mentioned again and again there is no such that character portrayal is quite contrast when it is written by Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva has mentioned in multiple places about his arrogance, and also he was the one who told Duryodhan that Draupadi should be stripped. He was the one who actually mentioned that. He said, "How does it matter if she has five husbands or multiple husbands?" And he was the one who gave the idea actually. Um, so he was not at all portrayed to be a very great soul, and that's what is mentioned again by Srila Prabhupada here. He always thought that the enemies, these Pandavas were his enemies, and during the towards the end, during the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he could understand that since Krishna is the charioteer of Arjun, Arjun will win. And also there is another side to him. He always differed with Bhishma Dev, and he was very proud. He would say that I will finish up single-handedly the Pandavas in 5 days and so on. And when Bhishma really died, he became very scared. And later, of course, the Shakti that he obtained was used to kill Ghatotkacha. And his son Vrishasena was also killed by Arjun. And actually, Karna was heroic, not that he was not heroic. He killed the largest number of Pandava soldiers. And at last, in the final match between Karna and Arjun, he was only able to knock the helmet of Arjun. That is what Arjun is remembering in this verse. But it so happened that the wheel of the chariot was stuck in the battlefield in the mud. Finally, Karna, how did he die? When the wheel of his chariot got stuck in the mud, he got down. And at that time, Krishna was the one who told Arjun, now you shoot the arrow and you kill him. Because he had done a lot of charity and it was very difficult to kill Karna. And at that time, Krishna gives the idea that when the chariot wheel is stuck in the soil, that time you take an opportunity to kill him. So like that, he finally dies. So this is the story of Karna, and Karna, everybody knows his story. But since Prabhupada has written the purport, I take this opportunity to repeat whatever he has written. The next person that is mentioned is Napta or Bhurishrava. Bhurishrava is identified as the son of Somadatta. He was one of the members of the Kuru family, and his brother was Shalya. Shalya, you all know. Shalya also became the charioteer of Karna. Shalya was the uncle of Nakula Sahadev, again, if I'm not wrong. So he becomes the charioteer of Karna, and actually it is Shalya who abandons Karna when his chariot wheel gets stuck. So because Shalya and Karna, they have a very heated talk while they are fighting. And finally, Shalya abandons him and he goes when the wheel is stuck. So he doesn't even get help from his charioteer to release the wheel from the mud. And that is when Arjun actually kills him. So Shalya's brother is Bhurishrava. And they also apparently attended the Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi. And they all appreciated the strength of Arjun because Arjun was a devotee of the Lord. And he advised Dhritarashtra not to pick quarrel with the Pandavas, and he also attended the Rajasuya Yajna, and he had one full Akshauhini army, and they were all used in the battlefield of Kurukshetra on Duryodhan's side. Because there is a story that when Shalya was coming to the battlefield, he was warmly welcomed by Duryodhan's party and he mistook the Pandava side to be the Duryodhan side actually. So he thought it is his nephew's side and he goes to the tents where Duryodhan is. Actually, Duryodhan cleverly tricks him. Instead of taking Shalya to the side of the um, Pandavas, he is diverted to the side of the Kauravas and they welcome him very nicely and they feed him so well and they make him very, very happy. And that is when he decides to give them a boon. And Duryodhan says, now you have taken our side. I mean, you have been favored by us. So you should fight with us on the battlefield, in the battlefield. So then Shalya, though he's not very happy about it, somehow reluctantly, he gives his army to the Duryodhan side. Mm. And this Bhurishrava, who was the brother, he was specifically engaged in a fight with Satyaki and he kills the 10 sons of Satyaki. And later on, of course, Arjun cuts off his hand and he was ultimately killed by Satyaki. And after he dies, he merges into the existence of the Vishwadevas. It is mentioned here. I couldn't find any more information about it. Vishwadevas are the devtas of the different directions. So basically, he merges into the existence of the Vishwadevas. This is Bhurishrava. He was a great warrior. The next warrior mentioned is Trigarta or Susharma. Now, this Trigarta or Susharma was the son of Maharaj Vriddhakshetra, and he was a king of Trigata Desh. He was also present in the Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi, and he advised Duryodhan to actually attack this Matsya Desh. This Matsya Desh is a Virata kingdom. That is where the Pandavas were in incognito during the last year. And there is an episode where Duryodhan steals all the cows of Viratanagar. And this was actually planned apparently by this person by the name Susharma or Trigarta. And later, of course, they tried to arrest this Maharaj Virat, but Virat was released by Bhima. And in the battlefield of Kurukshetra also, this Trigarta fought very, very valiantly, and he was also killed by Arjun. The next character mentioned is Jayadratha. You all know Jayadratha, right? Very long story, but Jayadratha he was also a son of Vriddhakshetra, and he was the king of Sindhu Desh, which is modern day Sindh, Pakistan area. His wife was Dushala. Dushala is the only daughter of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, the one and only daughter. The remaining were all the boys, headed by Duryodhan. So this Duchala, she marries Jayadratha, and this Jayadratha was also present in the Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi, and almost everybody desired to have Draupadi. She was one of the most beautiful persons in that time. So everybody desired to marry her, and he strongly desired to marry her. And he didn't keep quiet even after she got married. Whatever opportunity he had, he wanted to acquire her somehow or the other. And once, when he was going to marry in Shalyadesh on the way to Kamyavan, he saw Draupadi again in the forest when she was banished, and he was so much attracted to her. And the Pandavas and Draupadi at that time, they were in exile after the gambling match. And still, this Jayadratha, he thought that somehow or the other he can kidnap her. He tried to take away Draupadi, but of course, Draupadi kept refusing him again and again. But forcibly, he puts Draupadi into the chariot. And Prabhupada says here, at first, Draupadi gave him a good dashing, and he felt like a cut through tree. But he was not discouraged. He was able to force Draupadi to sit on the chariot. This incident was seen by Dhaumya Muni, who was the sage who was accompanying the Pandavas. And he also protests Jayadrat's action. He follows the chariot. And later it was brought to the notice of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And once Yudhishthir gets to know that the wife has been kidnapped, all the Pandavas then they attack all the soldiers of Jayadrat. And finally, Bhima catches hold of Jayadrat and he began to beat him down. But Yudhishthir Maharaj forbid Bhima from killing Jayadrat because Jayadrat was their sister's husband, right? Technically, because Dushala also becomes the sister of the Pandavas. So he says, no, this is our sister's husband, so you can't kill him. And that is when they put him to shame by cutting off his hair. They give him a funny haircut and they send him a funny haircut and a part of his beard is shaved and all that. And all this happens and finally he's insulted and he leaves. Mm. And after this incident, actually, he went to the Gangotri in the Himalayas and he undertook a very, very severe penance. He wanted to please Shiva and he wanted to get a benediction that he wanted to defeat all the Pandavas at one time. But then, when Lord Shiva appeared to him, he said, "You can't defeat all of them, but you can, no, I think he asks, defeat all the Pandavas at least one at a time. He says you can defeat them one at a time, not at once. So then, when the battlefield of Kurukshetra happened, he takes side with Duryodhan, as predicted. He takes side with Duryodhan, and he engages in the fight with Drupad. And then he also fights with Abhimanyu, and we know how Abhimanyu was mercilessly killed and he was surrounded by so many different generals. And finally, especially he was a very key reason for the killing of Abhimanyu because he stops Arjun at one point. He's able to stop the movements of the Pandavas. So at one point he stops them. They are not able to enter the Chakravyuha and protect Abhimanyu. And that is when Abhimanyu is finally killed. So Jayadrat was a chief cause for the killing of Abhimanyu. And this was this made the Pandavas very upset, especially Arjun. And Arjun later, I think he takes a vow that before the sun set next day, I will kill Jayadrat, something like that. There's so many stories in this. And finally, Krishna again saves him. Krishna saves him by covering the sun with his Yogamaya, and then he uncovers the sun. And finally, I think Jayadrat is killed. But how does he, I don't know if I'm mixing two stories, but finally, how he's killed is Krishna tells, now you shoot an arrow. Jayadrat's head, he tells him, chop off Jayadrat's head and don't allow it to fall on the soil. It has to go and fall on the lap of his father. Because Jayadrat had a boon from Shiva that whoever is the cause of his head to fall, that person's head will split into multiple pieces. So his father was also equally demoniac. So Krishna told Arjun, shoot the arrow in such a way that his head goes all the way to the lap of his father. I think his father was performing austerities near this Pancha Samkunda that is there in Kurukshetra. I forget the name. So he was performing austerities there, and the head goes all the way, falls on the lap of his father who's performing austerities. And suddenly he's shaken up as he's meditating that some head is falling into my lap. And he gets up and he becomes the cause of the head to fall down. So his father's head breaks into pieces. So, like this, Jayadrat's father also dies, and Jayadrat also dies. So these are the characters that is mentioned in this verse. Sorry, it was a big lecture, but Tulsi Gopi Mataji, do you have anything to add?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Not adding, I was just had a question that in one of the verses mentioned that he attained Vishwadev means what? Brahman or like Vishwaroop or?
Vishwadevas is actually, Vishwadevas are the demigods presiding over the directions, but I couldn't find more information how that happens. Couldn't get more information, Mataji. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So it's like we are not sure if he became one of the people among the Dikpals or something like that, right? And
Maybe I should
Dikpal.
see. Today I did a mistake. I didn't. I always keep Chakravarti Pad's commentary open with me. Just give me 1 second. I'll
Okay.
open it up, see if he has something important to say. This is text number 16, chapter 15, right? Just give me a second. I'm opening it. Or if someone has it handy and you have some information, just let us know. Mhm. Yeah, it's opening. You don't mind waiting, right? Just 2 minutes.
Yes, Mataji, I'm muting just because there's other sound in my house. So
Sure, sure. Take your time. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Ram. Yeah. So, Prabhupada, he says, the weapons of unfailing power, among the word, nothing. There is nothing much, Mataji. This is all we have for now. Okay.
okay, Mataji, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next one. Sautye vrita कुमतिनात्मल ईश्वरो मे यत्पादपद्ममव अभवाय भजन्ति भव्याः मां श्रान्तवाहम् अरयोरथिनो भुवि स्तं न प्राहरन्यधनुभावनिरस्तचित्ता. Anyone for translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
It was by His mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses. And it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver, for he is worshipped and offered services by the best men to attain salvation. Hare Krishna.
Nice. So he continues to tell how sometimes, as a charioteer, you have to get down and drink water. And Prabhupada in this purport, he explains very nicely how one may shoot an arrow at the ground and create a stream of water, a fountain of water. Uh, so in those days, this was the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It was a huge battlefield with millions of people at that time, and there is always lack of water. But how they created water is they would just shoot arrows at the bhumi and they would create a fountain of water and they would get their thirst quenched. And Prabhupada says, today we don't understand those sciences that was there in earlier times. So like this, whenever Arjun wanted to get water because of excessive thirst as they are fighting, especially for his thirsty horses, because these horses, they have to be fit and they have to be active and they require water. They get thirsty. They're running all the time, right? So sometimes he had to get down to give water to his thirsty horses. And that time, who protected him? Just now we saw when Karna got down to release the chariot from the from the mud, he got attacked. So when Arjun got down to drink water or give water to his horses, then who's the one who could protect him? It was only Lord Sri Krishna. It was only because Krishna was protecting him constantly, he was able to manage the entire war. And he says, I had lack of esteem for my Lord. I treated him as my chariot driver. Hmm? And he's the greatest of all. He's worshipped and offered services by everybody. People who are seeking liberation are worshipping Krishna. But what did I do? I didn't have proper esteem for the Lord. I used him as a charioteer. So he says that. And of course, there are uh, re, uh, some aspects where in the Mahabharata that is mentioned, not only Mahabharata, but we understand how a warrior, how he fights in the battlefield. Is his fight is possible only with the help of his charioteer. Now, the charioteer has to move the chariot in different directions during the war. He has to take commands from the warrior. And it is not possible for the warrior to constantly tell him left, right, and so on. There is a saying that generally the warrior, he with his, with the help of his leg, he pushes in one direction. When he pushes in one direction, if he pushes on the left, the charioteer has to go left like that. So there is a system like that, and sometimes the leg would hit the Lord, right? So the Lord, He's the supreme personality of Godhead. He's the object of worship of both the impersonalists and the devotees of the Lord. Now, the impersonalists, they are worshipping Him for His glowing effulgence that is coming from His body. But the devotees, they are worshipping Him as the supreme Lord. Now, here is Arjun, who is a great devotee of the Lord. He understands this Lord is the supreme personality of Godhead, but still he had to treat him with lack of esteem by pushing his leg, left leg and right leg, and treating him like his subservient charioteer. That's how he was treating the Lord. So Prabhupada says, this Lord, he's both personal as well as impersonal. But then the Lord, when he descends in this world, he has some specific transcendental pastimes which are extremely attractive. He plays a perfect role. He's not only a perfect master, but he can also be a perfect friend. He can be a perfect charioteer. He can be a lover. He can be a son. And this kind of relationship between Arjun and Krishna was that of pure friendship. And Krishna really took on that role perfectly. He had this transcendental relationship and he forgot that he is God. And Arjun also treated him just like his own friend. So after the departure of the Lord, Arjun was feeling bewildered. He became conscious that this person whom I was treating as my close friend, he is actually the Supreme Lord. He was thinking, after everything was over, he was thinking, oh, who is this person that I was pushing with my leg? It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, though their relationship was not covered, it was a very nice, sweet relationship. Arjun really would make fun of him. Sometimes Krishna would. He would make fun of Krishna, saying that, oh, you always speak only the truth. Meaning sarcastically, he's telling that Krishna is a big liar. And then sometimes he makes fun of Krishna, saying that, oh, I know you're a great warrior. Sarcastically, he's telling you don't know how to fight. So, like this kind of relationship they were having. And at this point in time, Arjun is feeling so bad that he was treating Krishna like this. And again, Prabhupada, he talks about the water in a battlefield. He says generally water is very rare, but water is extremely important for both animals and the warriors. They have to be quenched with their thirst, and especially at the time of death, one feels excessively thirsty. Okay, so such scarcity in the battlefield was resolved by boring the ground not through big bore wells, rather by shooting these arrows that can create a hole and then purge out water. So, like this, with a sharp arrow, they were able to penetrate the stratum of the earth and get water for many, many, many thousands of people. And Prabhupada says this methodology is unknown to the scientists today. So it was an advanced method that they used in those days. So we saw how Arjun was lamenting for his separation from Krishna at this point in time, he was thinking about how Krishna protected him in various ways. Krishna protected him from various weapons that could have been fatal. Krishna protected him even when he got down to drink water, when he was inattentive. Actually, what happens when you're getting down to drink water? You're inattentive, you're not looking around. Even under such circumstances, Krishna was the one who protected him. So that's what he's telling in this verse. Text 18. I don't think we'll do three, four, maximum three, four verses. I don't know how much we'll go, but we'll do it slowly. It's okay. नर्माणि उदाररुचिरस्मितशोभितानि हे पार्थ हे अर्जुन सखे कुरु नन्दनेति सञ्जल्पितानि नरदेव हृदि स्पृशाणि स्मर्तुर्लुठानि हृदयं मम माधवस्य. He says, Mama Madhavasya. How nice. He says, O king, his jokings, his frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with Smita Shobhitani, with his beautiful Smita. Smita is a slight smile of Krishna. Krishna has various kinds of smiles. Huh? There is a very nice section in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu that talks about the various smiles and the laughter of the Lord. Not only the Lord, even the devotees actually. So the smita is a very sweet, without showing the teeth when you smile, that is smita, light smile. And then Arjun says, he addresses unto me as, O son of Pritha, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty. And all such heartiness are now remembered by me, thus I am overwhelmed. So he's overwhelmed thinking of his Madhava. He's thinking of Krishna and he's completely overwhelmed. How nicely he would address me. He would address me as his cousin, as his friend, as the child of the Kuru dynasty. So many jokings and frank talks we would have. And I can't forget his smile. So Arjun is remembering all this. Shayasana tana vikkatthana bhojanadishu ऐक्याद् वयस्य ऋतवानिति विप्रलब्धः सख्युसकेव पितृवत्तनयस्य सर्वं सेहे महान्महितया कुमतेरघम्मे. Shayana, Shayasana. Shayasana means Shaya is the sleeping place and Asana is the sitting place. So basically, when they were sleeping and sitting, they used to do it together. There is again in Mahabharata it is mentioned, sometimes Arjuna and Krishna would sleep on the same bed. Like they were so close. So Arjuna is telling here, generally both of us used to live together and sleep, sit together, loiter together. And at the time of advertising oneself's acts for chivalry, sometimes if there were any irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, my friend, you are very truthful. Even in those hours when his value was minimized, he, being the supreme soul, used to tolerate all of these utterings of mine, excusing me exactly just like how a true friend excuses his true friend or a father excuses his son. So, this is the kind of relationship. Sometimes sarcastically between friends, we say that, right? Sometimes we say, I know you're capable of doing this, you're capable of creating some mischief and then we give them new names, huh? So like that he says, I know you're very truthful, I know you're very chivalrous. So like that, Arjun and Krishna, they had a very beautiful relationship. And actually, the relationship between Krishna and his pure devotees, uh, it has so much love. There is no question of reducing respect. That's what Prabhupada is telling. They don't lack anything in any respect. Huh? There is so much love between each other. Whether they are friends or son and or a lover, whatever it may be, the Lord relishes these reproaches of friends, parents, or fiancés even more than the Vedic hymns that are offered to him by learned scholars. in a very official fashion. Krishna used to enjoy these things. When Mother Yashoda tied him and scolded him, Krishna enjoyed it. When Arjun tells, "Oh, you just show off. You don't know anything. You're not capable of this," he enjoys it because he knows this is out of love and affection. It's not in a manner to put down the other person. When you take when you're very close to somebody and you consider that person as your own, you take the liberty, I should say, the liberty to have some jokes with them. Otherwise the relationship is very formal, right? So there's a very beautiful relationship between friends. And similarly, that of parent and child also. If the parent is always very reverential towards the son, then what is that parent, right? That parent has to scold, that parent has to discipline, then that person is a parent. But it is all done out of love. And the same thing with lovers. Hmm? The words of the gopis, when gopis used to scold Krishna, and they would sometimes they used to even abuse Krishna, but all this was very sweet to Krishna's ears. He would enjoy it because he knew very well they are doing it out of love for him. Okay, text 20. सोऽहं नृपेन्द्र रथितः पुरुषोत्तमेन सख्यप्रियेण सुहृदा हृदयेन शून्यः अध्वन्युक्रमपरिग्रहम् अङ्गरक्षा गोपैरसद्भिरबल एव निरीजितोऽस्मि. So actually here Arjun is talking about the Maushala Parva, the Maushala Leela towards the end, what happened. He says, "Oh Emperor, actually I am separated from my dear friend and my dearmost well-wisher. He is my friend. He is Sakya Priyena Suhrada. He is my dearmost friend, Priyena Sakya, and he is Suhrada. He is the well-wisher of everybody. And he's my best friend. And now that he's not there, it feels like my heart is empty. Hridayena shunya. My heart has become shunyam. It has become empty. It is zero now, my heart. In fact, the wives of this all-powerful Urukrama, Krishna, I was trying to protect them. After Krishna's departure, Arjun was trying to protect all the wives. But then some infidel cowherd men, Abala, Abala means somebody who is very weak, doesn't have much strength. Some infidel cowherd men, they came and took away these Abala ladies, these weak women, when they were in such a compromised situation, when their husband was not there with them and they were seeking protection. At that time, I was taking care of them, but I became defeated by these infidel cowherd men, says. Anyone wants to read translation?
Hare Krishna. O Emperor, now I am separated from my friend and dearmost well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore my heart appears to be void of everything. In his absence, I have seen defeated by a number of infidel cowherd men while I was guarding the bodies of all the wives of Krishna. Hare
Haribo. Now, this last part, this wives being taken away by the court, all this should be approached with caution. Okay. Prabhupada very nicely quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur here. I will read that section as it is. That way we do not mistake this past time. The important point in this verse is how it is possible that Arjun could be defeated by a gang of ignoble cowherd men, and how such mundane cowherd men could touch the bodies of the wives of Krishna who were under the protection of Arjun. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has justified the contradiction by research in the Vishnu Purana and Brahma Purana. In these Puranas, it is said that once the fair denizens of heaven pleased Ashtavakra Muni by their service, and they were blessed by the Muni to have the Supreme Lord as their husband. Ashtavakra Muni was curved in 8 joints of his body, and thus he used to move in a peculiar curved manner. The daughters of the demigods could not check their laughter upon seeing the movements of this Muni, and the Muni became very angry at them and cursed them that they would be kidnapped by rogues even if they would get the Supreme Lord as their husband. Later on, the girls again satisfied the Muni by their prayers, and the Muni blessed them that they would regain their husband even after being robbed by the rogues. So, in order to keep the words of the great Muni, the Lord himself kidnapped his wives from the protection of Arjun. Otherwise, they would have at once vanished from the scene as soon as they were touched by the rogues. Besides that, some of the gopis who prayed to become the wives of the Lord returned to their respective positions after their desire was fulfilled. After the departure of Lord Krishna, he wanted all his entourage to go back to Godhead, and they were called back under different conditions. Everybody all the eternal associates of the Lord, they were called back to Goloka Vrindavan under different circumstances. The wives, especially the 16,000, the other wives, not the eight Pattamahishis, but because they are passing away, I mean, their departure is specifically mentioned in a different way in Bhagavatam, but we're talking about the 16,000. Those ladies, we see that their departure was slightly different. But at the same time, we should not think that some random people came and touched them and, kidnapped them. It's not like that. It was all Krishna's plan, and Krishna came in the guise of the cowherd boys. And as Chakravarti Pad quotes different Puranas, and he tells that the boon was that they would be reunited with Krishna. So it was Krishna himself who executed the whole play. This will come later also in Bhagavatam. We will read the same story about the Maushala Leela. So the Maushala Leela, the entire section should be taken with caution. The departure of Krishna should also be taken with caution. It's not that some arrow went and pierced Krishna's leg and it resulted in the death. It's not like that. Chakravarti Pad again quotes various Shastras, and he tells us that the arrow only touched the leg. It didn't even pierce the Krishna's transcendental body. And Krishna just took that as an opportunity to fulfill the desire of Bhrigu Muni. All these references, commentaries, all that we will read when we go through those specific sections. Okay. And now text 21. Tatvai dhanushta ishava sarato hayaste soham ratim ripatyo yata anamanti sarvam kshanena tad abhuda sad ishariktam bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoptam ushyam. Anyone for translation?
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Mataji. Okay, I'll read. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjun, to whom all the kings offer their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them, at a moment's notice, have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on barren land. Hare Krishna.
Right. So he gives three analogies. Without Krishna, what is the use of anything? When Krishna was with me, so I was capable of doing something in the battlefield. Now I have the same Gandiva bow, I have the same chariot, I have the same horses, I have everything, but nothing has power. I myself, I'm not able to execute anything, independently. But I understand that all this came by the mercy of Krishna. The Gandiva had some value because of Krishna. My chariot was powerful. The chariot given by Agni Dev, it was capable of running in the battlefield, not because it was given by some demigod. It is given by Sri Krishna. The power is in the chariot was infused by Sri Krishna. So he says, I am the same Arjun, but I was not able to protect those ladies when the cowherd men had come. So In the absence of Krishna, within a moment's notice, I feel that the world has become void. In 1 second, when Krishna leaves, in 1 second, everything is meaningless. And how meaningless it is? It is three analogies. Offering clarified butter to ashes. What is the use of pouring butter or ghee on ashes? It's not going to burn further, right? If the fire is extinguished, just pouring ghee, will it help the fire to come back? Accumulating money with a magic wand. There can be great magicians and they can show $100,000. I think there's also a pastime of Srila Prabhupada. He's this great magician. He can show all this, but within 1 second, the same magic wand can make everything vanish. So it's an illusion, accumulating money with a magic wand or sowing seeds on barren land. If the land is not fertile, what is the use of putting the seed? It is not going to blossom into a plant. So, Prabhupada in the purport, he says, first and foremost thing, Prabhupada gives a warning to everybody. We can see the mood of Arjun throughout these verses in this entire chapter. For everything, he's thinking, I'm useless without Krishna. He has so much gratitude and he's acknowledging that he's nobody. He's a nobody without Krishna. So Prabhupada, in the first line of this purport, he says, as we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plumes. A crow is a crow. A crow may borrow the plume of a peacock and say, "See, I have beautiful plumes." But is that permanent? It is not permanent. It is just an attachment. It is not natural, right? Similarly, what power do we have? What capability do we have? Even if we have some capability, it is borrowed from that Supreme Lord. It's like borrowed plumes. So, what is the use of being proud of something that is borrowed? All energies and powers are derived from the Supreme Source, Lord Krishna, and they will act only as long as He desires. And as soon as He thinks it should stop functioning, immediately He will withdraw it. How many times have we seen this in our own lives, right? When Krishna desires, everything should be fine, it will be fine. When Krishna desires, I'm going to withdraw all this, whatever it may be, power, influence, wealth, whatever, even the slightest thing that we are happy about or we are proud about. If Krishna thinks, no, you don't need this at this time, that second he will withdraw it. So all electrical energies are received from the same powerhouse. As soon as the powerhouse stops supplying energy, the bulbs are of no use. So we have those bulbs. What is the bulb doing? The bulb is able to function because there is electricity flowing. Once electricity is not there, you may have 100 bulbs, 1,000 tube lights, so many fans, but nothing is of any use, right? Without that electricity. In a moment's time, such energies can be generated or it can be withdrawn by the Supreme Lord. So basically, he's telling this entire material civilization that we are all proud of is nothing without the blessing of the Lord. Without the blessing of Krishna, it is simply child's play. 1 second, everything will be taken away. As long as the parents are allowing the children to play, it is all right. As long as Krishna is sanctioning it, it is all right. But as soon as the parents withdraw, what happens? He has to stop. Like as kids, we go to the beach with our parents. We want to play in the sand. We want to play and we don't want to leave that place. And how much ever our parents tell it's time, let's go, let's go. No, we want to play. But then at one point, the parent pulls you and he or she takes you away. What can you do after that? You are under their control, under their supervision. Similarly, Krishna is like that parent. As soon as the parents withdraw, the child has to stop. So these human civilization activities, all this, it will be ideal if we dovetail it with to Krishna and receive the blessings of Krishna. So without Krishna's blessing, this advancement or whatever it may be, it is like decoration on a dead body. It is all temporary. So no value at the end of the day if it doesn't have Krishna's blessings. So it is said here that a dead civilization and its activities are something like clarified butter on ashes, accumulation of money by magic wand and sowing seeds on a barren land. That is all. It has no real value. Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. In the last class of our recent Kartik Yatra in Govardhan, I was remembering Maharaj, Guru Maharaj mentioned about these pastimes of how Vajranabh took the wives of Krishna to Braj, and when King Parikshit Maharaj heard about that, he also went there, and then Uddhava in at Uddhava Kyari or somewhere they had tumultuous kirtan, and then
Yeah.
after that they all went back to spiritual world. So
Yes,
how do
yes.
we reconcile that Arjun was bringing the wives versus Vajranabh was bringing the wives of Krishna?
No, no. I think this is what happened. Right? This place there is there in Govardhan Parikrama, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
If I
Uddhava.
remember, yeah, Uddhav Kher. I remember Maharaj's lecture also. But what I understood from that is that Arjun was taking them, trying to protect them, but they were kidnapped by the cowherd men, who was Krishna in disguise, and they were brought to this place.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Vajranab eventually leads them to Uddhav Kyari, and all this happens. And then they get liberated. Yeah. That's my understanding. That's what I understood from the whole thing.
Okay, so Vajranabh probably came from Dwarka or somewhere, and then he
Hmm.
met the Lord's wives, and then they all
Right.
went together to this
In
place.
Uddhav Kyari, yes.
Okay,
And they heard the Lord's pastimes and they get liberated. Yes.
okay. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Yes, well, thank you, Mataji. Thank you for reminding me of that. It just went away from my memory. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Okay. 20 to 23. Rajam stvayanu oh, so it's a different meter. Rajam stvayanu धर्मक्षेत्र राजं स्त्वयानुपृष्ठानां सुहृदां न सुहृत्पुरे विप्रशापविमूढानां निघन्तं मुष्टिभिर्मितः वारुणीं मदिरां पीत्वा मदोन्मथयितचेतसाम् अजानताम् इवान्योन्यं चतुः पञ्चविशेषिता. Anyone for translation? Finally, Arjun is revealing. Anyone wants to read the translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. O King, since you have asked me about our friends and relatives in the city of Dwarka, I will inform you that all of them were cursed by the Brahmanas, and as a result, they all became intoxicated with wine made of putrefied rice and fought among themselves with sticks, not even recognizing one another. Now all but four or five of them are dead and gone. Hare Krishna.
Very moon. So finally, this is the end of all the Yadus. Arjun is revealing what happened. Arjun says, you've asked me about our friends and relatives in Dwaraka. I will tell you that actually all of them was cursed by the Brahmanas. So you all know the story of Samba. He was dressed as a pregnant woman and he was presented in front of the Brahmanas. And the boys very jokingly asked the Brahmanas, tell us whether this woman would give birth to a boy or a girl. And that is when they said that yes, the birth will happen. You know, it will be a big uh, what stick? What do you call that? That rod, iron. That rod with the tip, which is iron, and that will be the cause of the destruction of the entire Yadu dynasty. Later, the tip was eaten by a fish, and a piece of iron was eaten by a fish, and then it was taken. And Jara makes the arrow with that, and the stick part, the rod part, that is powdered and it is put into the ocean by Ugrasen. Ugrasen gives the idea that it has to be powdered and dispersed in the ocean, and that goes and settles in the banks of the ocean area. And from there, different stalks, I forget all these names. Okay, but basically these kind of thick grass kind of thing, they grow. And with that, canes actually, they are huge canes. these canes grow, and with the help of those canes, the Yadus finally they go to this Prabhas Kshetra and they start fighting and they kill each other and they end their life. How is it that they end up doing all these crazy things? It's because they are all intoxicated. That's what Bhagavatam is telling. Bhagavatam says, Mada Unmatita. So they were completely intoxicated because of the Madiram, because of the fermented rice wine that they had taken. And they did not even recognize each other. And at the end, they were abusing each other, fighting with each other, and all of them were gone except for 4 or 5 of them. Again, this is also a part of the Maushala Leela. And we understand that it was the transcendental desire of the Lord. Later, in another purport, I think this will come much later, Vishnu Chakravarti explains that this pastime was done under the Lord's supervision because the Lord thought, now I have arranged for the Mahabharat war and all these different warriors have died. But what about the Yadu dynasty? The Yadu dynasty was it was huge. Like we know how it was. They were in millions, right? Their numbers. So Krishna wanted to reduce Bhumi's bhara, the burden on earth. But then Chakravarti Pad says that is not a burden for earth, rather it is a burden of love. Krishna wanted to take back his eternal associates, so he arranged this methodology so that his associates could go back to him. So finally, they, except for 3, 4 of them, some people they survived, and later we still see that. Yeah, they survived and they are there to tell the story pretty much. Okay, so all except for 4 or 5 of them, all of them are dead and gone. This is what Arjun says. Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Mataji, I was just remembering it that the sages said that Samba, when they asked who will I have a girl or boy, or the others said the sages said that he will give birth to a iron ball, which will be cause of the death of your dynasty. Then Vasudevji or someone said, sorry, it's mentioned who someone said to pulverize it, and throw
Pulverize
it
it,
in
yeah.
the ocean, powder it, and then it comes from the fish's body. It comes in the form of some iron things, and then it
Yes.
grows as. So that just the ball thing I remembered.
Now, something like, yeah, it could, but I remember, I don't know, again, I have to give reference because I didn't open up the verses. What I remember vaguely is that it has 2 parts to it. It is the body of the rod, which is not purely iron. The tip has iron. So the tip alone was swallowed by the everything. Of course, he tells pulverize it. The top part, everything was pulverized. It goes and settles on the banks of the ocean, and then it grows into canes. That portion, whatever it is. And the tip alone is swallowed by the fish, and then Jara picks it up. Jara, when he opens the body of the fish, he gets this iron to make his arrow nice. He puts this iron tip and he creates an arrow. And that arrow is the cause of Krishna's departure. But I'll pull out references, Mataji. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying
no
now.
problem. Okay, so Achha, first Krishna leaves and then they fight with each other with the other iron spears that were made.
With the other part of the spear,
Other,
yeah. Yeah,
okay.
that grows into canes, and from there they are fighting,
So
something
that
like that.
stick, when they said that killed each other with sticks, so they probably just killed by the sticks and not the sharp iron thing, na? That was
No, 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 no. No, not the
okay,
sharp
okay.
iron.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. And let's see the प्रायेणैतत् भग प्रायेणैतत् भगव ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मितो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मितः. Yeah. Anyone for translation?
Hare Krishna. Actually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and at other times they protect one another.
This is a law of nature, right? There's always a struggle for existence, and in science, we call it the survival of the fittest. That is nice. Prabhupada says all that is good. But most people don't understand even that the law of survival of the fittest, struggle for existence, all this, behind all this is the supreme direction of the Lord, supreme personality of Godhead. So in the Bhagavad Gita, he confirms that the law of nature is under his direction. Maya Dekshena Prakriti Suyate Saracharam. So everything is under his direction. Whatever laws, scientific laws we come up with, that's all great, that is all true. But who's directing everything? There is this law of gravity, fantastic. Yes, whatever goes up has to come down, but who put it in place? It is the Supreme Lord. It is Krishna, it's all under his direction. So, whenever there is peace in the world, we should know that it is because of the good will of the Lord. And whenever there is upheaval, yes, it is also because of the will of the Lord. Some people say, if God is there, how can He allow so much chaos in the world? It's His will. He who wants to allow, He will allow. Not a blade of grass moves without His will. So, if there is disobedience of the rules and regulations, there will be war between men and nations. Uh, so, the best way to have peace in the world is to dovetail everything to the Lord and agree to the rule of the Lord. So, how do we agree to that? We just have to follow the scriptures that is given by Him. So, and the best way, practically, what we can do is Yad karoshi yadashnasi, yad juhosi dadasiyat, yad tapasyasi kaunteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. The established rule is that whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we do in sacrifice, or whatever we give in charity, do it for the full satisfaction of the Lord. This is the way to attain eternal peace. So, as long as we are doing this, then it is very pleasing to the Lord, and we will all be protected. Mm. So, an action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. How do you know if the action is good or bad? It depends on what is pleasing to the Lord. If the Lord is pleased by the action, it is good. If the Lord is displeased, it is bad. So there is no question of whims. And how do we know what is pleasing to the Lord and what is not pleasing to the Lord? How do we know this? We have to take guidance through Guru Sadhu Shastra. We have to see Shastra and also take proper guidance from Guru. So, such an action is called as Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. That means actions that are linked with the Supreme Lord. This is the art of doing everything perfectly. So, if we want a perfect society, we want a perfect life, yes, do everything for the pleasure of the Lord, and that will always be perfect. So, we saw the end of the Yadus that was described here. And even the end was also under the supreme direction of this Lord. Yeah, Sadamni Mataji has written it's a spear. Yeah, it's a spear. So the spear has, maybe we can look up pictures. It could possibly have two parts to it. The edge, which is iron, a nice sharpened part, and then the place where you hold it. So. जलौकसां यदे यद्वन्महान्तो अदन्ति अनिशयः दुर्बलान् बलिनो राजन् महान्तो बलिनो मितः एवं बलिष्ठैर्यदुभिर्महाद्भिरितरान् विभुः यदून्यधूभिरन्योन्यं भूभारण् Sanjaharaha. Anyone for translation?
Hare Krishna. Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O King, as in the ocean, the bigger and stronger aquatics swallow up the smaller and weaker ones, so also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to lighten the burden of the earth, has engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker, and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller.
Very well. Yeah. So, this is the in nature we see this, right? In aquatics we see this. The larger ones will feed on the weaker ones. Even in the food chain of this world, also we see whoever is. Everyone is struggling for existence, and there is survival of the fittest. Whoever is stronger will become will eat the one that is weaker. This is the law of material nature. The similar verse was spoken by Narada Muni, where he said one living entity becomes the food of another living entity. Jivo jivasya jivanam. So that is practically what we see in this material world. And Krishna, this is nature. And Prabhupada mentions, and to give facility to such imitation lords, the illusory energy of the Lord has created disparity between conditioned living beings by creating the stronger and weaker in every species of life. See, he says, this is kind of interesting. I thought it was a good revelation. Prabhupada says, this very mentality of lording it over the material nature is the root cause of conditioned life. We have this tendency to lord over material nature, right? We all have this tendency, and that's why we are in this material world. And to give facility to such imitation lords, the illusory energy of the Lord has created a disparity between conditioned living beings by creating the stronger and the weaker in every species of life. This mentality of lording it over material nature and the creation has naturally created a disparity and therefore the law of struggle for existence. So when there is differences is a part of this material world. This material world is full of dualities. We hear this often. When there is a difference, that is when we feed our ego of superiority or lording it over. When everything is equal, everything is the same, there is the question of lording over. It doesn't come. Right? In this material world, because there is so much disparity in everything, this tendency of Purusha Bhiman, that is to enjoy or to be the controller, that is fed into this material world. And this material world has so much disparity. And the law, and it creates this law of struggle of existence. One is trying to conquer over the other. So this is what is happening in this world. But however, in the spiritual world, there is no question of disparity. There is no struggle for existence. There is no struggle for existence because everybody is equal. And what is everyone's equal desire? Everybody wants to do service to the Supreme Lord. Nobody wants to imitate the Lord. Nobody wants to be the controller. Nobody wants to be the one who is most prominent, one who's the most famous, one is the most important. All this is there only in the material world. So they all understand that the Supreme Lord is the creator of everything. He's the proprietor of everything. He's the enjoyer of everything. But the people in this world, we are under the spell of Maya. We are thinking, I will be the competitor of God. I want to be the controller. I want to be the enjoyer. I want to be the most prominent person. All of them should come and listen to my class. So all these tendencies are there inside this material world because there is a lot of disparity in this world. So the struggle of existence is seen in this material world, but it is not there in the spiritual world. So he's telling in this verse, Arjun is telling, just like how in an ocean, you may see one large fish may eat the smaller fish, and like that they survive. Similarly, the stronger yadus, they all killed the weaker yadus, and so on. So it's like a chain. So they went on killing each other, and finally, all of them died, except for a few of them who survived. And we have the last one for today. No, we'll stop here. The last one is very big. I won't do it. We'll stop here. Anyone has any questions, thoughts, corrections, comments, additions? Please go ahead. Okay,
Hare Krishna Mataji, if
Vaishnavi.
we have time, can I?
Yes,
Can I? You were talking about that Govardhan Parikrama, the pastime, Mataji. I didn't get it right. If you have time, a short version of that, can you tell us?
Oh, Mataji, so Tulsi Gopi Mataji was mentioning that there is a place called Uddhav Kyari or Uddhav Bait. I think Kyari only, na? Not Baitak. Uddhav Kyari, it is
Yes,
there in
Mataji.
Govardhan. Yeah.
Uddhava Kyari, and then there's a Uddhava Kund and other things, but I think this is where the Kyari, where Uddhavji becomes a blade of grass because he prayed like that. So that's the place.
Yes, tell the story quickly, Mataji, for us.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, I think Guru Maharaj was reading from Goswami's confidential literature. I think it's either Gopal Champu or I don't remember which one. But after Krishna leaves this world, it is explained that when the queens of actually when they were in Dwarka for so many years, they always understood the glorious position of the gopis of Braj, that Krishna loved them more than his wives. In his dreams also he would remember gopis and all that. So in long story short, they had a desire to understand the gopi love, because they had the wife love, right? The what do you call, the swakiya ras, but they had a desire to actually experience the parakiya ras of the gopis. So Krishna arranged that after Krishna left the world, he arranged the through this pastime to come to Braj, and then there they actually spent time with different Brajvasis and heard different pastimes, and then they wanted to find out where is Uddhava. So then someone said that where was Uddhav's pastimes, where he met the gopis and he spoke to Radharani, and slowly they all come to this place called Uddhava Kyari, and they are listening to pastimes and they all do kirtan. And then when at the same time Vajranab, the grandson of Krishna, had he had created so many deities, and he was also developing Brajbhumi to establish those certain holy places and temples. So he was visiting again and again, doing his duties in the royal duties, and again he would come to Braj to do his seva for reviving the pastimes of Krishna in Braj. So when he heard that the wives are there, he also decided to leave and come there to spend the time and sit with them in Hari Katha. And then when the Pandavas retired, also their Parikshit Maharaj, their grandson, also was ruling in Hastinapur in Indraprastha. So when he heard that the Vajranab and all of them are in Braj, he also for some time left his duties and he also went to Braj to get the nectar. So when they all gathered at this place called Uddhava Kyari, then they were listening and they became so ecstatic that they started singing kirtans in the mood of the gopis about pastimes of Krishna and gopis and all that. So when they started singing that, Uddhava ji, who was in the form of blade of grass, he manifested his form as Uddhava and he started participating in that kirtan. So then they all, in that form with the Brajvasis and Gopis, they all did very nice kirtan. And then Maharaj says how one by one he arranged for, they disappeared. And they, in different ways, they all in different groups, he arranged different ways how the wives went go back to spiritual world and how the gopis and everyone also go back to spiritual world. That's just the summary, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. That is really information that it's a divine grace that we are able to hear today.
Yes.
Because we didn't know, Mataji, because you had the opportunity to hear from your Guru Maharaj and you transferred to us. Thank you very much. Dandavad Pranams.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Okay, so then we can end the call here. Panchakalpatarubheshcha kripa sindhubhyo च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees. Hari Bol. Ending. Hare Krishna.